All right. Let's get into it. All right, we didn't come on here to really talk about Trey Lance. We're kind of turning that chapter, but we do got some Nick Bosa news, all right, or lack thereof. There were some things that kind of flew under the radar a little bit during the game, and reports came out prior to the game that like Nick Bosa, they're not even close to signing a contract with him or extending him, which is I don't know how you botch signing the best player on your team. I don't know what his demands are and whatnot. I'm not a capologist, so I typically don't dive into the numbers or what makes guys hold out or not hold out, etc. But I do know one thing: certain players you just don't play with, and we've seen contract negotiations with Joey Bosa and how those have gone. And I don't expect them to be any different for Nick Bosa. Like these guys, they will hold out and they will make sure that they get their money. So I'm not saying you let Nick Bosa hold your team hostage and just you have to meet 100% every demand that he has. But it does feel like the Bosas are willing to play hardball. And we know not just the 49ers, because I think a lot of people talk about Parag Marate and how good he is at, structuring these contracts to where somehow, some way they work out very well for the San Francisco 49ers. I don't think Nick Bosa cares about any of that. So what you're going to do is you're going to meet my demands. You're going to make sure that whatever it is that I say that I want, you're going to do that. And if you're not, then, hey, have fun playing without me, and we'll see what that looks like early in the season. I'm not as much worried about that, though. I do feel like, and I see somebody in the chat right here. We got T-Dub. T-Dub says he's probably asking for 25, 26 million a year. I'm not going to lie to you, T-Dub. He's asking for a lot more than that. If I had to guess, again, I don't know. Who am I, right? But just looking at some of the contracts, how they've been going, and what I've been seeing, some people say the numbers might be on Nick Bosa. It looks closer to 32 million a year, 31, 32, 33, like in that ballpark. Now, that's not really the most important number, right? Like the yearly salary, obviously, like that looks good when you look at it on paper and you say, hey man, he got, 33 million a year. It's the guaranteed money. It's the guaranteed money. So that might be where the hiccup is. And you'll have to look at guys like TJ Watt. You'll have to look at guys like Myles Garrett. Like, what's their guaranteed number? And then add some money to that. And that's probably what Nick Bosa is looking for. So I don't think it really has much to do with the actual like yearly amount, even though that looks good on paper and it looks good for the agent. It's that guaranteed amount. What does that look like? And that's potentially the thing that's probably holding this up. Are there certain injury things where it's like, hey, if he gets hurt, he doesn't get this. I can't speak for everybody's, contracts, but I know, and I said that I would bring up my NFL contract at some point. I'm gonna look for it. I'm gonna look for my NFL contract, and we'll go into that and see what that looks like. But I do remember this. it had like this split in it where, it's like, okay, first of all, rookie minimum. It was like at that time, we're talking about 2013, it was $405,000. And if I was on IR, there was like a split. So it wasn't 405 I was going to get. It was like, gosh, what was that number? 288,000. So, you go from 405 and then it's like, oh, I'm on IR and it's 288. Now, guys like Nick Bosa, I don't know if they have like this injury, thing like that where it's like, hey, if you're on IR, you make less, but maybe that's some of the verbiage that's going on that maybe they disagree on. And 49ers are like, hey, if this happens, we want to be able to do this, or, we want these void years, or, whatever. Again, I'm not a capologist. I just like to talk football, but there's definitely something holding this up. And I'd assume it's probably not the overall number. It's something in between there, between guaranteed money, some injuries clauses or things like that. A trade clause, like it could be like that type of stuff where the bosses are like, bro, we're not moving. We're not moving off how we feel in this. So I'm curious to see how it works out. Now, I put 49ers time to worry about Nick Bosa. I don't think it's about Nick Bosa signing a contract. Like I'm not, and I know we just talked a lot about those things, but that's not what I'm worried about. I think that part will be fine, and you'll see Nick Bosa sign with the 49ers and everything will be good. It's the injury aspect to it. And everybody's like, oh, Nick Bosa, he's a pro. He doesn't even need preseason. He's going to be fine. He's going to come in. He's going to play. And it's like, well, yeah, Nick Bosa, he'll be ready to go and he'll do his thing. But there is no substitute for either live reps that you're able to get in preseason when somebody's going 100% or kind of ramping up in training camp. All right. You can be on the beach in Florida in that Bosa cave, working out, lifting, and he's going to be strong. And he's going to be his 8% body fat or whatever he is, all ripped up. He's going to be all of that, right? He's going to be in shape. He's probably running sprints, like, training on the beach. All those things, that's good. But there's no substitute for like pushing and pulling against another human. Pause. All right. There's no substitute for like on this rep, I'm going 100%. Right. So from the start of training camp, I think a lot of people just assume like, well, if you're out there, whatever, and training camps are not as difficult as they used to be, especially like when I was coming up. And I remember my cousin, Tyrone Gross, he had like 2-a-days, and they were like legit 2-a-days. Like you're in practice, you got practicing pads early, then you got practicing pads again late, right? When I was in the league, it wasn't like that. It was 2-a-days, but it was like practicing pads early and then a walkthrough after that. Well, right now, still, like when you're going against another human and you are competing, like that's an opportunity for you to like just, get your body ready, right? And right now, what we're basically saying is, I know he's been working out, but you're now going to push your body and go from 0 to 100 because no matter the intensity that you try to train with, there's still no substitute for going up against another person who's also going 100%. So if there's anything that scares me about the Nick Bosa situation or something that I'm worried about, it's definitely not just his ability to step on the field and play football. It's your body pushing it to a limit that you have not done or you haven't even prepared your body for. Again, you have prepared to be good on the football field, be strong, all that, be in shape. Okay. But once it's time to like take it to that next level of competing against a player on a down and down basis, and all of a sudden your body just can't react to that. So a lot of times that's when you see the soft tissue injuries, and things like that. That's what worries me most. It's not him being able to even play an entire game. I think him playing the game, he's going to be healthy. He's going to be in shape. He's going to be all that. Like, cool. But that game shape is just different. And even if you have guys that aren't participating in preseason games, they're still getting those reps in practice that help them kind of prepare for that. Think of, for a defensive lineman, those get-off drills that we see, right? Where you got the coach, you got Chris Kasarik there, and he's like, get it, and they move the ball, and everybody fire, you got two guys, they fire off the ball. You're still competing against the next person that's going to push you to compete more than what you would do by yourself. So by yourself, you probably go and you think you're going all out. But when you got that person next to you and I got to trigger, I got to react faster than this guy and hit that bag, and they're really trying to win those reps, right? Those are things that just help you get your body ready. And Nick Bosa, I looked at the chat. Nick Bosa, he's missed that. So if there's anything I'm worried about, it's not Nick Bosa signing. Even though right now it sounds like they might be far apart and maybe I should worry about that. But I'm not worried about that. I am worried more so about the damn soft tissue injuries, things like that, where it's like all of a sudden I have to push my body to a limit that I haven't prepared for and I haven't ramped up for. You can prepare all you want to play in the game. You can be in shape. You can be strong. You can be all that. But taking it to that next level when you have not competed against another human being for months, that's the part that's tough. That is the part that's tough.